my question to the panel is, how does trust at the industry level, business to business, commerce to, business to government, play a role in the progress of commercial space today? What are some specific examples of that? George, you want to take a shot at that?
So trust is very important in our relationships. We're dealing with a wide variety of companies, many of whom are in competition with one another. They have general things that they do and they talk about in public. They have other things that are proprietary or that are sensitive. And yet it's very helpful to us to understand the full picture. So there needs to be a trust that we know how to protect that information. There needs to be a trust on our part that the companies will follow through on their commitments, that they are consistent with their license and permit applications in terms of what they actually are going to do. We try to have safety inspectors out in the field for all of the launch activities and so forth, but there's so much more that is happening in the factories and in the field and in the test stands, and we can't possibly be there the whole time. So we need to understand the safety culture, but just have a trust that we both understand the responsibilities and the commitments for the other sides.
I think a very big obvious piece of trust for many of us is that we are developing vehicles using draft regulations for the most part right now. And we don't know what those regulations are, and we have to trust in the process of working with George and working with people at NASA and others to say that those regulations are going to be realistic, they're going to be not onerous, they're not going to be regulations that don't have a purpose, because we don't know that for real right now. And there's a huge amount of trust because we're investing significant amounts of capital and resources and not doing other things that we could be doing based on that trust that we have that there's going to be a viable process between government and industry at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, the fact is, you know, many of us, you know, we're entrepreneurs. We have, we invest our own money. We often, I mean, the fact is we lose sleep at night with the idea that you know, this company's got, our companies have to survive, our products have to meet a certain standard. In fact, is you know, I'll give, you know, a product we did for Robert as an example. You know, I had to give him my commitment that I would personally serve to lead that effort. And at first I didn't understand it, and then when I didn't sleep at night worrying whether or not it was really going to work, I understood why he asked me to lead it. Because he wanted that personal commitment, because it was his hard-earned money, and it was, he wanted me to put myself in his shoes, and I understood it. And by the way, and when I sold my company, he asked me, you know, do you own stock in Dynetics? Do you? What is your position? He wanted to know, does that carry on? Will that product still survive without you there if you're not there? And that's important to us, the people that make commitments. And fact is, I made a commitment because I know that industry would ultimately, even, you know, we decided to do AS 9100. We used the NASA Engineering Handbook to develop that product. And we put safety margins of 3.5 on that product because, well, 3 to 1, because, well, we met the weight requirements that Bob gave us, and we still delivered a great product, and it had more safety margin than probably any flight hardware that's flown, even though it's a little clunky, but that makes me sleep better at night. So yeah, trust is a big deal. I think even more so in a lot of these companies that have a lot of accountability.
LeRoy, you have any observations from what you're hearing?